When I looked across the rows of white chairs at my wedding, I stopped counting after the seventh empty seat. My husband's family filled the front row with smiles that tried not to ask questions. My side looked like a reservation someone had forgotten to cancel. My parents weren't there. My older sister wasn't there. Not even Maya, the friend who had sworn since college that she'd stand beside me no matter what. They had all gone to my sister's engagement party. I had known there would be pressure. My sister's fiancé had chosen the date months after ours, insisting it was the only weekend his overseas relatives could attend. My parents begged me to postpone my wedding. It's only one day, Dad had said. It was. Just not the same day to me. So I kept my date, and they made their choice. Dad. The engagement hall buzzed with laughter, cameras flashing every few seconds. People kept congratulating me. You must be so proud. I smiled because it was expected. But every time someone asked where my younger daughter was, I repeated the same sentence. She understood. The words became easier to say than to believe. Your mind has a strange way of protecting you. If enough people nod, you begin believing your own version of events. Until reality interrupts. The ceremony ended. My husband squeezed my hand during every quiet moment, never asking why I kept glancing toward the entrance. By the time we exchanged vows, I finally accepted that nobody else was coming. Acceptance doesn't arrive with peace. Sometimes it arrives with exhaustion. When we cut the cake, guests began clapping. Someone shouted for us to smile. I laughed for the first time that afternoon. Then my phone vibrated inside my dress pocket. Dad, we need to talk. Now. Before I could react, the screen filled again. Missed call, missed call, missed call. 53 of them. The music suddenly sounded distant. Dad. It happened in less than 10 minutes. Your mother collapsed near the entrance. At first everyone thought she'd fainted from the heat. Then she couldn't answer simple questions. The ambulance arrived quickly. At the emergency department, everything became paperwork, insurance, identification, medical history, consent. The nurse looked up from her computer. Who's listed as her healthcare representative? I answered immediately. My wife. No, she said gently. The updated documents. She turned the monitor toward me. Our younger daughter's name. Years earlier, after helping her mother through another hospital stay, she'd completed paperwork neither of us had thought much about afterward. The nurse remained calm. We need her, not eventually, now. For the first time that day, being the parent meant nothing. Authority belonged to whoever the documents recognized, and that wasn't me. I stared at the screen while everyone around me celebrated. My husband noticed. You don't have to answer immediately. I know. What do you want to do? No one had asked me that question in a very long time. What do you want? Not what keeps the peace. Not what makes everyone else comfortable. Just you. I looked at our half-cut wedding cake. Guests waited politely. Photographers held their cameras ready. I want 5 more minutes, so I took them. We finished cutting the cake. We thanked our guests. I hugged my grandmother from my husband's side, who whispered, "Today belongs to you." Only then did I step outside. I called Dad back. He answered before the first ring finished. His voice sounded smaller than I had ever heard. Please. Sounded smaller than I had ever heard. Please. No explanation, no lecture, no reminder about family obligations, just one word. I listened while he explained what had happened. When he finished, silence settled between us. Finally I said, "I'm coming." The hospital corridors smelled like disinfectant and sleeplessness. A nurse met me immediately. "We've been waiting." Those words echoed strangely. All afternoon I had waited for my family. Now an entire medical team had been waiting for me. They walked me through forms, confirmed decisions already documented, and explained my mother's condition. It wasn't life-ending, but it had been serious enough that delays mattered. The responsibility felt heavy, yet strangely familiar. For years, I had quietly handled emergencies while someone else received attention for celebrations. This time, the responsibility wasn't invisible. It was recognized, officially. Dad found me outside the treatment room. He looked older than he had that morning. I was wrong. I didn't answer. I kept believing there would always be another chance with you. His eyes stayed on the floor. You never made demands. So I stopped noticing your sacrifices. There was nothing dramatic left to say. The truth had arrived too late for apologies to erase it. I helped because Mom needed me, I said carefully. He nodded. I know. And today was still my wedding. Another nod. No defense, no excuse. For the first time in years, he simply accepted the weight of what had happened. Months later, my parents began calling more often. Sometimes I answered. Sometimes I didn't, not to punish them, because my life finally had room for boundaries. Love returned slowly. Trust returned even slower. People often think forgiveness means everything goes back to the way it was. It doesn't. Sometimes forgiveness simply means you stop carrying anger. Respect, however, has to be rebuilt. That afternoon, my family missed my wedding. Nothing could change that. But they also learned something they had ignored for years. The daughter they expected to wait forever had quietly become the person everyone depended on when life stopped following their plans. And this time, before I answered, they had to wait for me.